1-800-303-2352. When you want quality bathroom products at a great price, it's got to be BCI Bath and Shower. That's 1-800-303-2352.
We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Works St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Air quality alert continues tonight for smoke and haze, 66 for an overnight low, then partly cloudy on Friday with a high of 80. Nightingale at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant. Now open daily from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu available until midnight. Check them out today at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Cody Cup, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Wendy and I are sitting really close together today because there's stuff happening at AM 950 right now. So we're doing it all over this beautiful platform called StreamYard. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And they are having a vaccine clinic tomorrow, Friday, July 30th, from 4 to 6 p.m. At the Gustavus Adolphus Lutheran Church. That's 1669 Arcade Street in St. Paul. You get the free Pfizer vaccine, and it's available for individuals ages 12 and older. A free saliva COVID-19 test if you need one. Free Indian tacos. That's right. We got free Indian tacos.
As big as your head.
Individuals who complete a brief survey get a $10 gift card while they last. So tomorrow get your vaccine.
Well, we're excited today too, Wendy, and our audience is that we have a state senator from Wisconsin, Jeff Smith, and we're always excited to have him. And we're going to make him probably stay on 2 segments. He doesn't know that yet, but we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that he wants to talk about, and really, it's always good to have him. And being broadcast in Madison and Chicago is just a blessing to have somebody come on like him once a month and talk about real issues. And he's a great ally. So we're going to go to Ogimaa right now. And as you all know, Ogimaa has news, and it's news that you don't hear anywhere else. Ogimaa, welcome as always, and take it away.
Takes me a little bit longer to unmute on this platform. Hello, everybody. Bonjour. I'm Ogimaa Ganuikwe with Native Roots Radio. First and foremost, I would like to send our love and appreciation to those who are at the Minnesota Capitol right now with MN 350 and Minnesota Interfaith Power and Lights event entitled "We Are All Downstream," asking that Governor Walz take action to shut down the Stop Line 3 pipeline. I do also want to send love to the water protectors who stopped Enbridge again from drilling under a sacred river. Water protectors stopped Enbridge at the Clearwater crossing today. And I don't have any more info on that other than that they were stopped for a brief amount of time. Another exciting news that we have coming up is that, remember how we were talking about the Lummi Nation totem pole, the one that was traveling from the West Coast all the way to Washington, D.C., the one that you and Wendy got to go see, right?
Yeah, we saw it there.
They made it to the Capitol today. They made it to Washington, D.C. They went 20,000 miles, and they had 115 stops across the country. The totem pole was carved by the House of Tears carvers from the Lummi Nation, and they began their journey in Washington State about 2 weeks ago. The totem pole itself is 25 feet long and about 5,000 pounds, and it traveled to a lot of really interesting places along the way. The whole event was called the Red Road to DC, and if you weren't following it, I'm sure you can go back and check out the highlights by following Red Road to DC on there. A big part of the reason that they went was because the Lummi Nation has for a very long time talked about the importance of protecting our environment. So they stopped and visited their relatives all along the way. So like on July 17th, they were on July 14th, they stopped along the Snake River in Idaho, where the Nez Perce tribe is calling for the removal of 4 dams to help restore their salmon and protect their treaty rights. On July 17th, they were at the Bears Ears National Monument in Utah, which has been dealing with political and legal disputes since 2017. When Donald Trump reduced the boundaries of the site during his first year in office. The site is the ancestral home to tribes, sacred sites, and burial grounds. On July 18th, they were in Chaco Canyon in New Mexico. Secretary Haaland is a citizen of the Pueblo of Laguna, and the area is referred to as her ancestral territory. And as a member of Congress, she's been fighting against energy development in that region. July 21st, they were in the Black Hills. We all know what happens with the Black Hills. The territory was promised to the Sioux Nation by treaty, and the U.S. government has violated by opening the area to natural resource exploitation. July 24th, they were at Standing Rock. The tribe is continuing to press the Biden administration there to shut down the Dakota Access Pipeline, and they finally made it into the Midwest, and they were at White Earth Nation on July 24th, and then they were at the Bay Mills Indian Community on July 25th. Those were to visit their allies fighting the Line 3 replacement project in Minnesota at the White Earth Nation and the Line 5 replacement project at the Bay Mills Indian Community consecutively. Special thanks to Indians.com for putting together this wonderful story. I pulled some highlights from it. I just wanted to let you know all of the awesome places that they stopped and all of the places where our relatives are fighting these same battles that we are fighting. It is not new, right, Robert?
No, not new at all. And a really good report on that. Really good report. It's a sad deal that we have to do this constantly, and really good report in Ogimaa.
Yes, and I'm getting information in right now that there's an active blockade happening at Camp Firelight near the White Earth Reservation in Minnesota. It sounds like the highway is shut down for some reason. There's been some water protectors who are going live here and there. There's ladies from the Rights of Mississippi who are, I believe, taking action at this time. I don't have any more information for you right this moment because this is happening as we speak, but as information comes through, I will put it up on Native Roots Radio's Facebook and our Twitter if I'm able to share that. One of the last things that I want to talk about today, and it brings my heart a lot of sadness to say this, but what happened this afternoon is that Connecticut sent a crew of firefighters here to Minnesota, claiming that the Canada wildfires are now within 1 mile of the Minnesota border and could likely cross into Minnesota. There's 13 members of the Connecticut Interstate Fire Crew who have been deployed to Minnesota to help with the wildfires. The crew is actually part of a larger 20-person interagency from the Northeast region who's coming to the Northwest and North region to help to initially attack the fire, relieve other crews, and start pre-positioning to try to get ahead of any potential fires in Minnesota. They'll be working primarily in the Superior National Forest region. They'll be here for about 16 to 18 days. As of Thursday, there's about 66 uncontained fires in western states that are being managed, about 32 fires that are being managed by other strategies other than what's called full suppression. There's about 1.7 million acres that have burned cumulatively, according to the National Interagency Coordination Center for Firefighters. So this air quality that we're seeing in Minnesota is terrible. And the air quality in Minnesota actually reached a new record today in Brainerd. It reached 4.1 particles, I believe. And then shortly thereafter, 401 particles, micrograms per cubic meter in Brainerd, and St. Cloud hit 422 micrograms per cubic meter at 11 a.m. today, which then broke Brainerd's record. So we are about to get hit with some crazy bad air quality. Everybody prepare to wear your mask outside too.
No doubt. We're used to wearing our masks, and that's terrible. Hey, on a positive note, we got St. Paul young gymnast that won the gold medal. We want to give her a shout out. A BIPOC person, first Hmong athlete ever to win a gold medal. We just want to give her a shout out. And do you have her name by any chance, Ogimaa?
I actually don't have her name off the top of my head here. It was working on getting the info about the fires so that everybody knows that's coming our way. Right,
no problem. Wendy's looking it up really quick. And she went to Johnson, which is an East Side St. Paul school. I know Lewis went to Harding, so that was a rival, right, Lewis?
East Side Pride worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, hey, there, I hear the bumper music. That means we got 30 seconds left.
Oh, it looks like their name is Suni Lee.
Yep, that's it. Thank you so much. It just dropped my mind, but I wanted to give a special shout out. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next, State Senator from the great state of Wisconsin, Jeff Smith. We'll be right back.
We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Works St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. And I just want to remind everyone that the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is hosting a vaccine clinic tomorrow, Friday, July 30th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Gustavus Adolphus Lutheran Church, 1669 Arcade Street in St. Paul. If you're over 12 years old or older, you can get your Pfizer vaccine. So go ahead and do it.
Hey, what's really interesting, we have State Senator from Wisconsin, Jeff Smith, Wendy, and the things that we're going to talk about is something that you have planned in our front yard. You want to get a pollinator front yard so I don't have to cut the grass because I'm getting old, right?
That's right. We're getting rid of our front lawn. We're putting the tarps down probably on August 11th. I secured some from a neighbor, and because I didn't want to go and buy more and then they end up in the landfill. So I'm going to be borrowing somebody's tarps and putting them out because we have to kill the lawn first. And then the people who are putting in our pollinator garden will be able to do that in the fall.
Well, hey, and that just goes what we're going to talk to you at first about with Jeff Smith about. Welcome, Senator Smith. It's always great to see you.
Hey, thank you, Robert and Wendy. You know, first of all, I got to say, Wendy, thank you for your opening remarks about getting vaccinated. I hope that people really are paying attention because none of us want to go back to 2020, right? Let's all do what we have to do to protect each other. And I also want to say I'm glad I am finally getting the hang of getting on time and early enough to hear the great report that Ogimaa brings to us, because I learned so much from those about 10 minutes that listening to you and Ogimaa with the report about the things that the national media is not reporting, and reminding us constantly how important our indigenous people are to protecting our resources. And I want to thank you all for that.
Well, Pinigigi too, and if our audience here in the Twin Cities isn't familiar, Senator Smith was one of the bill writers for the MMIW bill in Wisconsin, and we give a great shout out and good feelings towards you, Senator Smith. Thank you so much. It's great to have an ally like you. I know your area is right around Black River Falls, where our Ho-Chunk relatives live and our offices, and so we're really even more grateful for that.
I am too, Robert. I am too. I constantly learn from other cultures and others around me, and again, when you mentioned Suni Lee today, we have a great Hmong population in Eau Claire County where I live, and they have enriched us with their culture here in Western Wisconsin too. So we're all very fortunate for the diversity, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's always good to have you on too, because we talk a lot of doom and gloom, and you always come in with some really positive stuff. So why don't we talk about the bill you're working on? And it kind of has to do with what Wendy and I were talking about just a little bit before about, having a garden instead of a concrete, front yard grass, which is like concrete when you talk to people that know. Talk a little bit about your bill.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear that you, Wendy, are doing that. What a great segue into what I just actually released a column about, and the bills that we just released recently. So we have a series of bills to protect the pollinators, which I know a lot of people probably already know that this has been a crisis in the making over the last several years with the colonies that have died of honey of our bees. But of course, pollinators include birds and reptiles, as well as honeybees and wasps and all over. And we have done this to ourselves with the poisons that we have spread on the fields, and sometimes unknowingly, unwittingly, because farmers know how important pollinators are for their survival as well. And I think that they're going to be doing all they can as well to cut back and protect our pollinators. But our bills are very logical, actually, to tell you the truth. Like a lot of times when we talk about, one bill is SB 455. This is Wisconsin, of course, would protect pollinators by limiting insecticides use near pollinator habitats located on land maintained by the DNR. So we're really only in that bill limiting what we can do as a state on state-owned property, but we should at least show some leadership in that regard. And SB 456 would return the decision-making about acceptable pesticides back to the local municipalities or the county. Currently, these local subdivisions are prohibited from adopting such protections, and that's just wrong. And it flies in the face of all that we really supposedly believe in local control and decision-making. And SB 457 prohibits anyone from who sells or provides plants from labeling or advertising the plant as being beneficial to pollinators if the plant has been treated with and contains a certain concentration of insecticides. I think that's pretty logical, right? You'd think that would already be the case, but it isn't. And so these are pretty simple bills. I just wish we could get them moved.
Yeah, really. I mean, we walk through our neighborhood here, and my view of a beautiful lawn over the last 20 years has really changed. 25 years ago, I wanted, it to be green. I wanted it not to have any weeds. No, I didn't want dandelions in my lawn. I wanted it perfectly green, perfectly edged, because that's what I thought a beautiful lawn was. But now it's just the opposite. I love the dandelions because they're the bees' first food in the springtime. And Robert and I have adopted over the last couple of years, it's called a no-mow May. Your no May, depending on where you live in the country, would depend on your weather. But once we get, consistent, weather a week or two of 60 degree or more, that's when we mow. And sometimes before that, our lawn looks a little bit shady, like, people are like, did they move out? Where did they go? Why does your lawn look so bad? But it really has helped because we see bees, we see butterflies, I see the hummingbirds in our lawn when we don't mow so early in the season. And I think it's really important that they have food, and we put out pans of water, and we do all that stuff. So it gets me upset when I walk through the neighborhood and I see those little lawn signs that say, keep your children and animals off this lawn because it's just been treated. And then there's a date that says it's safe to go on the lawn after this date. And I'm saying to myself, how could that be? Or
how safe?
How safe could it be?
You remind me, Wendy, of the school districts who also do that. So I've seen that, like the day of opening of school, they have those signs out because they just spread those poisons on the grass and said, keep the kids off. Well, it's unbelievable the dumb things that we do. Right. And so as an example, over the last 20-year period in Wisconsin, we have what is called the rusty patch bumblebee. That's one of our favorite bumblebees in Wisconsin. And we've had an 87% decline in that species because of the things that we've done. And yet here they are. They're like such an important part of our agriculture. 1/3 of our food relies on the pollinators. And so we have got to protect them.
Wow, really, exactly. Wow.
And a lot of people say, climate change, the water's being poisoned, all these things are happening. There's homeless people, people who don't have enough food. Why are you worried about a butterfly and a bee? But it is important to worry about the butterflies and the bees and all the pollinators, just because if we don't, we won't have food for people.
Yeah, they are fascinating animals too. I mean, butterflies are a great example of a hardworking species that migrate. That everybody loves the migration of the butterflies to California, but when they come back, they are the great pollinators that keep our yards beautiful and our flowers blooming.
Right.
That's right.
I used to be a blooming idiot. Now I'm a flower child. Yeah, isn't that how? Or I used to be a flower child. Now I'm a blooming idiot.
We'll let Wendy be the judge of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't say anything on the air.
That's right. That's right.
We'll keep it nice and civil here.
We got a break. Can you stay with us for another segment?
I'd love to do that, Robert. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back with State Senator Jeff Smith and the crew. Stay with us.
We are Aleutian Nation. We are Aleutian Nation. Nation.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hey, this is Tom Hartman. Listen to me weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Find more at am950radio.com.
We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Experience the difference of intergenerational childcare. Kinder Village brings together the wisdom and warmth shared freely by the older adults of Episcopal homes with infant to preschool-aged children. The goal? To provide each child with a safe, loving, and secure place that promotes learning and fun. Now is the time to enroll your preschooler in a place of endless learning and love. Kinder Village has earned the top 4-star rating from Parent Aware. The children enjoy arts and crafts, reading, story time, and playing games with their many grand friends. Teachers provide lessons in science, math, music, instrumental movement, language, and literacy. The campus kitchen prepares nutritional snacks as unique as the children it serves. Kinder Village Days mix free play and structured activities, allowing children to learn and grow in a flexible and diverse setting. Children who are part of intergenerational activities have better social skills, have less aggressive behavior, have improved learning, and find understanding of those with disabilities. For more information or to enroll, check out kindervillage.org.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, free, and approved for everyone over the age of 12. Need help getting a COVID-19 vaccine? Trusted community connectors can find vaccination sites, make appointments, answer questions, and provide interpretation. To learn more about scheduling a free appointment or find a community connector, visit ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. That's ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine.
AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Air quality alert continues tonight for smoke and haze, 66 for an overnight low, then partly cloudy on Friday with a high of 80. Next Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul is back open for in-person browsing. Let their experts find the perfect book for you no matter your taste. That's Next Chapter Booksellers, the corner of Snelling Avenue and Grand Avenue in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are the Elusive Nation. Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
It's kind of nice sitting next to each other here doing the show, huh?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe not. Hey, we're here with State Senator Jeff Smith. He's a Democrat, and it's a District 31 from Wisconsin. Always fun to catch up. And again, we all need allies. Native Americans are a small percentage, Wendy, of the population. So it's great to have a great ally like Jeff on today. Welcome back, Jeff. I'll unmute you. There you go, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. To tell you the truth, Robert, what we really need are people like yourself and others who would be more political and be in the system and get elected and push us to do all the right things. That's what we really need.
Right. Well, yeah, I appreciate that. So what else are you working on? I know you're constantly working on issues and can you fill our audience in, which we have a big audience in Madison and Wisconsin too that listen to our show.
Well, just yesterday I was on I visited a couple of locations in my district to cut the ribbon for the Great River Road along the Mississippi River, and it was just a great reminder to everyone how lucky we are to have what we have in our natural resources. And I was thinking in the morning, as a matter of fact, yesterday morning with the humidity, and what was coming out of the west, I came over the roads and thinking, oh my goodness, it was foggy and all of those things. It was raining as I was coming, but you know what? It was beautiful. Even in conditions like that, what nature has provided us and along the driftless areas of Wisconsin and Minnesota and along that river, Great River, it's just beautiful. I don't care what the weather is and what's going on. But when it comes to water, what it really segging away is a friend of mine yesterday told me about something I did not know was happening, and I'm going to have to look into. North of us in Lake Superior, there has been a company who is trying to get a permit to start draining water out of Lake Superior to bottle it and sell it. And it's something we really need to be aware of and, again, protect our resources. I mean, people may think we have a lot of water, but you start doing that and that'll change.
Right. And there's a company, Ogimaa, I don't know if you remember, there was a company that wanted to come to Minnesota and do that too. I think, do you remember which company, or do you remember that?
I don't recall the name of the company that had wanted to do that, but I do recall that story.
Yeah, so we got to be aware of what's going on, Senator Smith, all the time, like you're saying.
We do. We have to be always on alert. And like you said earlier in the previous segment, it's something that we have to keep revisiting these issues, right? But we must. We have to be alert.
Right. And we have, and it's hard really too, if you're not paying attention and you're just listening to what you see on the news. And I know, like we were talking about that company, Enbridge here in Minnesota, they're so embedded. You know, you watch the hockey tournament, which is just a great thing here in Minnesota, and they advertise, they're supporting Enbridge, you know, the basketball tournament, all these things. In the last few years, all the money they spent at the St. Paul in the capital here in Minnesota, it was like $4 million on just talking to politicians and trying to get them to move.
It's amazing. It is fascinating that the big corporations can put on a pretty good face for the public when in the background they're doing a lot of harm. And in our case here in Wisconsin. Same in Minnesota, actually, and back to the Mississippi River area. Frac sand mining that was occurring over the past decade was so damaging to our environment. But those companies too were kind of buying the faith of the people by contributing money to the school districts or sponsoring certain things and just sort of shutting people up about what they're really doing. And what have they done now? They've deserted us.
Yes.
They've bankrupted, and all the promises about restoring the land and all that, which some of us knew would never happen anyway, they're gone. And here we are left with this terrible damage that they've done to our things. So one of the things I'm working on and ready to introduce now is a possible incentives for using that property that they are leaving, which is now good for nothing else, is to put solar farms on those places. And rather than use good agricultural land or mow down forests to put solar, we can use this land that they've already probably turned into deserts and turn them into solar farms.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think one of the things too, that when you were talking earlier, just a few minutes ago, I was thinking of we're dealing with a Polymet, a company that's going to be trying to in the deep north there by Lake Superior do mining, and that's a thing. They have these small companies that are part of a big company, and then the big company goes bankrupt, and nobody cleans up anything, like you said.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's like a lesson never learned. As soon as they wave jobs and money in front of a community, they just forget the history behind us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you have any other updates you want to give a shout out before we let you go?
Sure. We just recently passed our state budget in Wisconsin, and the governor also, before the state budget, created the task force for climate change. And fortunately, I've been fortunate to have been added to that task force after the fact. But in his budget, he included some proposals from that task force. But unfortunately, the Republicans, who are in the majority in our legislature, threw his budget out. So we did not get the proposals that would have been very helpful, including creating an Office of Environmental Justice, which I know I was really, really hopeful for. I thought it was a simple thing that wouldn't have cost a lot of money. It wouldn't have really been a painful thing for Republicans to agree to do, but they did not. So we did not get that, and I think that would have been a huge step in the right direction for us as a state towards addressing what is maybe the most important issue for our generation.
Wow, I agree.
It's really sad that happens, and that money is the root of all evil. It really is, and that Republicans don't want to work just for the greater good and things that make sense, just because they just don't like us. So I don't know.
We don't know, but I want to give say Peeny Gigi for you to coming on, Senator Jeff Smith. I really, really appreciate the work you do with our Indigenous community, and then the work you do for our Mother Earth and Father Sky. I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you putting up with me once again, Robert and Wendy.
Gets better every time, though. You're clear as a bell right now.
It's perfect.
All right. Great. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Hi, Juoni. We'll
Thank
see you soon.
I love that he's working on that pollinator bill, and they realize how important that the pollinators are to our environment. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, really. He's a great guy. Lewis, I saw a little thing up here about asking the governor of Wisconsin to work better with Indigenous communities, and especially Anishinaabe nations of the Straits of Mackinac Island. And we talk about that Mackinac Island a lot on our show, Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the responsibility of governors, whether you're Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, to engage with these nations and these communities. And I know, under federal trust responsibility, a lot of our treaties are on the federal level, but that doesn't mean that governors get to do whatever they want without engaging the Indigenous community. And I think if we continue to just, not engage local politicians like our governors, our state representatives, and allies like we have, Senator Smith here, to speak out on Indigenous issues. That's the only way we're going to actually come to the table on state issues, on national issues and state issues like Line 3, Line 5 that go through Mackinac up there with our Anishinaabe relatives, our Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe relatives.
Exactly. Ogimaa, have we had any updates as we've been on about anything? I know there's an action happening at the state capitol right now. Go ahead.
I don't have any updates yet as of now, but I did get something, if I have a minute here.
Yep.
The NDN Collective, they have a grant and fellowship program that is open, and they offer it to 21 Indigenous change makers every year across Canada, the United States, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Guam, and American Samoa, and Mexico. And that deadline has been extended now to August 6th. So you can check out ndncollective.org if you'd like to apply for a change maker fellowship. So change maker fellowship would be an award for you to build a movement within your Indigenous community.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
It is. Yeah. It is. There is stuff out there, and I know we, for people to get support in their work, and I know MN 350, for instance, gives out small grants for people that are fighting this water protector, and so reach out to, and so reach out to them too, and they support in many different ways, and they have a BIPOC community too that I'm a part of that really supports other BIPOC communities, Wendy, that are fighting this the black snake killer, right, Lewis? I mean, that's what it was called at Standing Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. And, our youth are going to lead us to the next generation of where we're going to be in Indian country. And shout out to Indian Collective, Nick Thielsen, as well as all these nonprofits. I can't forget McGizzy Center in South Minneapolis, also doing good things for our inner city Indigenous community in Minneapolis as well. So many wheels to the cog of Indigenous activism, Robert.
Wow. I want to get a t-shirt that says that. It's awesome. Well, thanks for stepping in and checking it out, Lewis and Ogimaa. Always thank you. Up next, we're going to be talking to Wendy, and we're going to talk about our sacred animals, which we do. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back.
Stay with us.
Alusa Nation.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Did you hear Lewis?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
good.
Yeah.
there.
It was a low. He has an alto type sending howl. Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's this portion brought to you by Howling for Wolves.
Wolves.
All right, Wendy. I'm a little thrown off here because we're not doing our show in the way we usually do. We're doing everything over StreamYard,
Which is kind of like a Zoom for those people who are just listening to us and not watching us.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to introduce my awesome wife, Wendy. She's been an animal advocate for many years, and she is Humane Policy Volunteer Leader for the Humane Society of the United States. Tell us your name, Wendy, and tell us what you're going to talk about here.
Sure. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And as everyone knows, that name was given to me by my Dega Curtis, who is Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. So thank you, Curtis, for that name. And as always, Lucy, our cat, busts in the door always during my animal segment. She must know something's going on. But Robert, I really wanted to talk today. You know, I was like wondering, like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And I had to go out today to run some errands. And it's so smoky here. And it smells like smoke. It's not even just hazy or cloudy. It's smoky. And I walked in the house and I could smell it in my hair. That's how thick and disgusting it is. And I want to say thank you to Ogimaa and Lewis earlier for popping up those maps so that we could see where the smoke and the fires are. But the smoke that we're getting here in Minnesota is mostly from the Canada fires, the forest fires in Canada.
Unless you live where Lewis is, I guess he's getting it from the Dakotas down there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's just crazy. So I really wanted to just talk about these forest fires and how they really affect wildlife. So I went on to the National Forest Foundation, their website, and they actually had pretty good news. They first started talking about Bambi, if you ever watched Bambi as a kid, and there is a big forest fire in that movie. Actually traumatized me as a child. I just want to say that. Like with Bambi's mom being killed, and then the forest fire, and watching the bunnies and the possums and the deers like running out of the wildfire. But then, according to the National Forest Foundation, forest fires are kind of like a mixed bag of good and bad for forests. And they say that most animals have adapted to forest fires, and that mostly it's the elderly and the very young animals that don't make it out alive, and that the majority of wildlife mortalities come after the fires are put out. And that's due to loss of important habitat and food sources that are, gone now that the fire is gone, and that the ashes provide a lot of fertilization and in the land and for the water, and that wildfires. I'm saying the wildlife, the forest fires, and the wildfires. So the forest fires are a part of a healthy ecosystem in the forest. However, according to the CBS News, and this was just updated July 25th, 2021, that scientists are really, really worried because more intense and frequent wildfires driven by climate change could have serious implications for wildlife of the northern Ontario's boreal forest, including the wolverine. That's a threatened species, and here in Minnesota too. So although forest fires are like a natural type of process for forests, and they help the ecosystem, because they are so intense now and they're coming more often, it's really not a good thing anymore. As wildfires continue to burn through northern Ontario's great expanse of boreal forest, smothering the deep greens and blues of the lands, experts are keeping an eye on the hundreds of animal species living within. Although the 2021 fire season has already been one of the worst in the past decade, this year's fires aren't the most worrying. It's those that are yet to come. So they're really seeing a pattern here, that it's just getting worse and worse. And as years go by, if we don't do something about climate change, we're just going to see more and more fires. This is a quote. Animals are adapted to wildfire. Some animals head to the water and others escape ahead of the fire, said Connie O'Connor, director of the Ontario Northern Boreal Program for the Wildlife Conservation Society of Canada. But as summers in northern Western Ontario become warmer and drier, something O'Connor and others have linked to climate change, fires are becoming more frequent, larger, hotter, and more intense. She said, "My fear is, as a wildlife scientist, is that these fires are going to get to the stage where it's too much for the animals' natural adaptations to the fire to handle anymore. It's going to be just overwhelming for them, and they're not going to be able to hide in time. They're not going to be able to find a safe space for themselves, and they're just not going to be able to live. More and more animals will die with these more intense, hotter fires and larger fires, and this is what's going to happening in the future." Also O'Connor, an aquatic scientist by training, said many people don't really think about the relationship between fish and forest fires, but fish have certain adaptations to deal with fires, like naturally seeking in deeper, cooler places in the water systems. Thank you for putting up those pictures, Lewis, thank you very much. The ash that goes into the water in the long term, it can even be a benefit to fish because it can increase the nutrients in the water for little aquatic bugs and stuff to grow. But as industrial activities and the construction of new roads and dams continue to reshape parts of the boreal forest and hotter temperatures possibly decrease water levels, O'Connor said there could be an increase in acute fish kills. And we've talked about this, and Ogimaa brought that up by in the West Coast and Washington State and Oregon, where they had those big, large fish kills because of those hot temperatures that they had. It's because the same waterways and deep areas the fish have historically relied on would cease to exist, she said. So we really have to work on climate change. We have to keep our environment and our animals safe, and we have to get these wildfires down to a minimum.
Right. Hey, Pinagigi Wendy for talking about our sacred animals and Mother Earth too today in your sacred animals section. I would like to end with these thoughts. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plenty Coops, we need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
Oh.
Alusa Nation. We are Alusa Nation.
Supporting the best local and independently owned restaurants